Hello and welcome to the show. And this is going to be a continuation from the rant I had yesterday on what is truth and how do we know what truth is. And in sense, there is not a answer that covers everything. In other words, I don't think that there's an ultimate answer you're going to find on this subject that this definition is the truth and there is no other truth. If you ask a Christian, they'll tell you Jesus Christ crucified and buried and resurrection is the only truth. If you go to a Jew, they're going to tell you that Torah is the only truth. If you go to a Muslim, they're going to tell you the Quran, the last messenger, Muhammad, is the only truth. And that's the Abrahamic religions that we're dealing with. But I'm on a rant here, and this is not a pre. I haven't thought about this, but I just wanted to talk about something for a second about, and I think the in the gospel story where what's his name Pilate asked Jesus, "What is the truth?" And I think that is a fair question that we should ask each other: is what is the truth? I mean, and how do you know that you found the truth? I mean, I know that, the years that I was in Christianity, well over 20 years, it was the ultimate, it was the best, it was the truth. And if you didn't see it the way we saw it, you were doomed and you were just ignorant. And then when I got into the Torah, it was the same thing. This is the ultimate truth. If you don't see this, you're ignorant. You can't see truth. And when I started studying Islam and the Quran, I started seeing people saying the same thing about that also. But what makes that the truth? I mean, if we're looking at these scriptures, we're looking at the Torah, the New Testament, and the Quran. What makes these the truth? Uh, First of all, within the Torah, from a scholarly uh, view, you've got major problems here because, as you know, Genesis is a mishmash of a lot of different works that were put together. And if you read Genesis and you think that one, two, three, four, five, six are the order that they come in, you have issues and you're making up doctrines that probably don't go because we know that Genesis was put together by a lot of different scrolls that they tried to push together. For instance, maybe some jubilees, maybe some of the book. I'm just saying this in English, but the book of Abraham, the book of Moses, all of these were books that were put together. So I know a lot of Jews and Christians think that Genesis was given to us the way it was, but probably it was not. It's a mishmash of different writings that were put together throughout the year to give you give you at least an understanding of maybe of what happened. The same thing is true within the New Testament. People think that Matthew, Mark, Luke, John wrote these books, and they probably had nothing, if anything, to do with these books. And if you understand Jewish lore, they wrote in honor of a person. In other words, the book of Enoch, we can't prove that Enoch wrote it, but we can prove that somebody wrote it in honor of Enoch, just as some of the books of the Bible. We don't know that Daniel wrote Daniel. We just know it was written in honor or about, Daniel. So I know religion will tell you one thing and scholarly will tell you another thing, but I think you have to look in the middle to see the truth of these things. So I know people think scholarly's trying to destroy religion and religion's trying to destroy the scholar, but I think we have to have a mix of both to really understand what the truth is. In the Quran, there's many myths about who wrote that book and how it got here, and there's people that's died uh, because of allegations and stuff of that nature. So when we understand truth, and I guess we're just going to talk about three of the Abrahamic faiths today. Uh, what is truth? I know when I was young and came up in the church, I felt such a freedom in believing in Jesus and, thanking him. But really, when I go back and look at it, it didn't really change my life. I mean, I had moments of spirituality, but moments of very morality, of flesh, in which that I did things I shouldn't do. And same thing within Judaism. I did things that I shouldn't do. That it didn't change me ultimately. It did change me. And then Quran, I never got into to really can testify of any of that. But what we're looking at here is I think truth very basic, very common within all three branches of Abrahamic religion and the truth within Gnosticism and maybe some of the Eastern religions too, is summed up within two words. And we can thank Hillel for this, and we can thank Jesus for this, and that is to love God and love our fellow man. And I think when we look at these things, and how do you love God? Well, define what God is, and that's another whole video within itself. But I think we can define our love for God is how we treat each other, how we ethically treat each other. And I'll use something I know a lot of people can't stand, but it's the 7 Noahide laws. And no, they're not in scripture per se, or these are the 7 laws, but you can find them within Torah. But if you just take these 7 laws and you apply them, I think humanity without religion, you can do it without religion. If I choose not to steal from you, and that theft doesn't mean just theft as far as stealing your money. If I steal your reputation, or if I steal your popularity, or I slander you or something, I am stealing from you. Or if I'm, blaspheming the Lord, that doesn't mean calling a different name or saying GD or something. That means actually living outside of the way God would want you to live. In other words, if I live contrary to the laws, I am blaspheming God. These are very basic understandings. So I think that's something we really need to come in contact with. And even in Gnosticism, people freak out about Gnosticism, but Gnosticism is basically freeing yourself and seeing the world in the way it should be seen, that you are not limited. You're not just an animal. You are great. And, you need to rise above these things that are going on around us. So I guess in the short rant, what is truth? Truth is when you can treat your fellow man with respect and love. When you see somebody in need and you help them. When you see somebody down and you edify them. When you see things, a gossip thing going on, and you stay out of it. When you do what's right. And everybody, I don't care who you are, maybe a psychopath though, in your conscience knows what's right and wrong. You know what's right and wrong. You know what to do and what not to do. Now, as I said yesterday, there are people in the church system, the Jewish system. There's people in the Noahide system, whatever that is. There's people in all of these systems. And that may be where they need to be right now to learn, to grow. And if Jesus makes you a better person, you need Jesus. If Moses makes you a better person, you need Moses. And Hanukkah, you need that. But if you can just study the 7 laws, if you can just understand these things and act upon them, it's not about faith and belief. There's nowhere in Torah that you have to have faith in God. It's action. It's emunah. It's actually doing what he says. It doesn't matter. God doesn't care if you believe in him or not, but if you do what he says, you're proving him by what you do, if that makes any sense to you. So as you approach truth, or what you perceive to be truth, be open-minded. But ultimately, if what you're learning is not making you a better person, it's causing division, it's causing problems, it's probably not right. But if you're edifying your fellow man and doing what's right and wrong, you're probably on the right path. So a little short segment. No, it wasn't too deep in everything, but just thinking out loud and maybe getting some responses from you guys also. What is truth? Put in the comments below. And if you want to go on a show with me and let's discuss this thing, please, let's do a show together and talk about it. We're not about dogma. We're not about trying to prove people wrong and right. We are here about elevating each other in ethics and doing what's right to each other. So let me know. Thank you and have a fantastic day.